Hi, and welcome to this episode of Gone With The Gail. Today's video is Edinburgh. I took this on May 28th, 2018, when I toured Edinburgh with a tour group as well as with my friend Christy. We start the day on the tour bus and we do a driving tour around Edinburgh. We see sights such as Holyrood Palace. From there, we go past Parliament. We also get to see the home of the First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, the birthplace of Alexander Graham Bell, as well as going on to Edinburgh Castle. From the castle, Christy and I explore the Royal Mile before returning to the hotel to board the bus to go to the famous Rosslyn Chapel from the end of the Da Vinci Code. We return to our hotel afterwards and then explore Victoria Street, the inspiration for J.K. Rowling's Diagon Alley. From there, we go to Edinburgh's Hard Rock Cafe and, more importantly, find out, will we ever get our luggage back? Will we get it today? Will it be tomorrow? Who knows? Stay tuned and find out in this episode of Gone With The Gail. Just a little side note. If you remember from my previous vlog, I said that my camera had a pink dot in the lens. I tried it again this morning and it worked. I was happy until I got to the first stop here at Holyrood Palace. Because I turned on the camera, it was working. I was happy. And then I bumped the screen and the screw holding the screen to the camera came out. And luckily, the bus driver gave me some duct tape. But for the rest of the trip, my camera was held together with duct tape. Our first stop on that foggy morning was Holyrood Palace. Here's a closer view of the ironwork of the gate, as well as the lion and unicorn at the top of the gate, guarding the palace. The unicorn, the lion. In this section of Holyrood Palace are the royal apartments. It is here where Lord Darnley killed Mary, Queen of Scots' personal secretary, David Rizzio, in a fit of rage. Mary was approximately 5 months pregnant at the time and was very disturbed to see her dear friend and personal secretary taken from the dining table where they were eating with friends, drug into her bedroom, and murdered, stabbed to death, right there in front of her own eyes. Here is some ornate brickwork from Holyrood Palace. I love the details and bright colors. The bathhouse for Holyrood Palace, used by Mary, Queen of Scots. Just across the street is the Scottish Parliament building, and normally you would see Arthur's seat, but it's hidden by the fog. I find the architecture of the Parliament building very jarring against that of the classical palace. I'm not sure whether those are supposed to be guns or hair dryers on the outside of the building, but either way, I don't think it fits. We next saw the birthplace of Alexander Graham Bell. He was born here on March 3rd, 1847. Bell, as you know, would come to America and go on to invent and patent the first practical telephone and also founded American Telephone and Telegraph Company, otherwise known as AT&T, in 1855. This is Bute House, the official residence of the First Minister of Scotland. It's located at 6 Charlotte Square in Edinburgh. This is where the current First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, resides. I love driving around Edinburgh. You can always see something when you're looking out the windows, especially on our way to our next stop. Our next stop was in the Princess Gardens, just underneath Edinburgh Castle. Our bus stopped here so that we could take a group photo of everyone on the tour, and then we parked the bus and walked up the hill to the castle. You can see the beginnings of the structure for the stands for the Edinburgh Tattoo, which is held in August. Even though this was still May, they were already starting construction. We were told that it takes approximately 6 weeks to assemble the stands and another 6 weeks at the end to disassemble them. I saw them disassembling them when I was there at the end of September last year. The entrance to Edinburgh Castle. One of the cool things about being on a bus tour is that you're given priority access, and we were given a talk by a local tour guide who led us inside. I love the modern phone booths next to the ancient stonework. Over the next few pictures, I'll give you an overview of the castle, but I did a really in-depth tour last fall. I'll put a link to that video here so that you're not bored by watching the same thing twice. This is a bust of Mary, Queen of Scots. This portrait of Mary, Queen of Scots hangs outside the room where she gave birth to her only child, a son, who would go on to be James VI of Scotland and James I of England. The paneling in the room where she gave birth is quite ornately painted, especially for a room so small. Here's a view of the ceiling. These next two pictures are from the frescoes above the fireplaces in Mary's receiving rooms. Notice the combination of the lions and roses of England and the unicorn and thistle of Scotland, the unification of the two kingdoms. St. Margaret's Chapel. The crown jewels of Scotland are contained within this building. There are no pictures allowed inside. It also contains the Stone of Scone, which is also known as the Stone of Destiny or the Coronation Stone. It's an oblong block of red sandstone that has been used for centuries in the coronation of the monarchs of both Scotland and England, as well as the monarchs of the United Kingdom. Even Queen Elizabeth sat upon the stone as she was crowned. It's connected via archway to the Scottish Veterans Memorial Building. Pictures are not allowed to be taken inside. What a fun pic! Here's another view of the architecture of the Veterans Building. The interior of the Great Hall, with lots of armaments on display. I'm here at Edinburgh Castle, and as you can see out in the back, the view from up here is spectacular. That's our tour bus down there, the one with the rainbow. I think the views from the castle on top of Castle Rock are amazing. So I'll give you a little music and let you take in the sights. After the castle, we had a few hours to explore on our own, so we walked down the Royal Mile, taking in the sights. This is St. Giles Cathedral. I have a lot of detailed pictures in my previous video that I linked to earlier. You can see it there. Next up was the World's End Pub. It is named that because it was the last pub before the wall, when Edinburgh was a walled city. Many people at that time did not travel very far, so they had never traveled outside the wall of the city. So therefore, when they got to this pub, it was like it was at the world's end, which is where it got its name. This is the close, or alleyway, right next to the World's End pub. The World's End has a prominent place in Outlander. The next stop on our Outlander tour was Bakehouse Close. Outlander fans will know it as the print shop, where Jamie and Claire reunite after 20 years apart. I tried knocking on the door, but Jamie never answered. After that, we returned to the hotel to meet the tour group to go out to Rosslyn Chapel. I had been here in the fall, and I'll leave a link to that in the video. Rosslyn Chapel is most famous for its part in the end of The Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown. I'll leave you with some sights around Rosslyn Chapel. There were no pictures allowed inside, but the outside, the architecture is amazing, and I think you'll enjoy it. I took this from the bus on the way back. You can see Arthur's seat on the left and the bright yellow flowers of the gorse climbing over the rocks. We returned to the hotel on the bus, and as we returned to the hotel, we saw online that the case about our luggage was listed as being closed. We were excited. Did this mean our luggage had finally arrived? We rushed inside the hotel to find that it had not yet been delivered. We called the airline, and they said that it was listed as being closed, both suitcases, because they actually scanned my suitcase once it arrived in Glasgow. Both cases had arrived and had been transferred to the local courier for delivery to our hotel. They had done that at 12:30 in the afternoon. If you're familiar with Scotland in any way, you know it's only about an hour, hour and a half from Glasgow to Edinburgh, where we were that night. So one would think, with it now being almost 5:30, that our luggage should arrive. I mean, even allowing for extra stops, it shouldn't take the better part of 4 hours to drive from Glasgow to Edinburgh. The airline representative that we were talking to put us on hold and called the courier. And this is what she told us. Even though it's only an hour from Glasgow to Edinburgh, they don't drive. The courier told her that even though it's only about an hour from Glasgow to Edinburgh, the original courier who picked up our bags at the airport would not be driving them to Edinburgh. He would be driving halfway, meeting another courier, waiting for them, then transferring our bags from the Glasgow courier to the courier that takes care of Edinburgh. He imagined that we should probably have it sometime that evening, but he couldn't tell us when. Since we hadn't eaten all day, we decided that we were going to go out and get dinner, and maybe, just maybe, the bags would be there when we returned. But at this point, I honestly had no faith that they would. We headed out and went to Victoria Street. As I mentioned in my previous video, this was J.K. Rowling's inspiration for Harry Potter's Diagon Alley. Where it meets the main street, it's unassuming. You can't notice how special it is. And then As you turn the corner, you see it. What makes Victoria Street, so special.
You don't need to, because you know.
Yeah, okay. I'm just gonna walk straight.
You can buy it at the airport for
Even
crying
if
out
you
loud.
accidentally just set your bag down.
Und dann gibt es auch Geldbeutel dazu in der.
And he speed like all over the
There's even a joke shop on Victoria Street. I wonder if it's owned by a set of red-headed twins. Of course, we had to stop in the Harry Potter shop on Victoria Street. We decided to grab an Uber to go to Primark. I needed to buy a new suitcase because I'd bought enough clothes over the last several days that it wouldn't fit in the suitcase I already had and that was supposed to be returned. So we stopped at the Hard Rock Cafe for dinner before going to Primark since it was just around the corner. After we got the new suitcase, we called for an Uber and we headed back to the Novotel. Would our luggage be there? Would we ever see it again? In a few moments, we would know the answer.
You're back! I thought I'd never see you again. Oh, my friend, I missed you.
Our bags were back. We had given them to the airline at noon on Friday, and it was now after 8 on Monday. We got our things out. Lou got a twin. We grabbed our bathing suits and ran down to the pool so we could sit in the jacuzzi to relax. It had been a stressful couple days without our luggage, and we were sure glad to have it back. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for my next video coming soon. We'll visit St. Andrews Golf Course, the beach, as well as Blair Castle before retiring to Diagon Hotel in the Highlands. See you soon!